On our top story, 7 more regions in the province moved to stage 3 today, including York Region. And for more on this, we are joined live by Vaughan Mayor Mauricio Bevilacqua. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning, Jamie.
So we just heard from Frank Scarpitti, very excited for his region. He has some concerns about things like gyms, and I'm very curious about when it comes to your region in Vaughan, what are some of the concerns about moving into stage 3? But at the same time, I'm guessing you're excited about that.
We are excited, although, during this period of time, as we deal with COVID-19, a global pandemic, we can't fall into a false sense of security, of course. We need to be mindful that everything that we learned back in February and March, that we don't forget during this phase. So graduating from phase 1, 2, and now 3 basically means that conditions are better, but they're certainly not back to pre-COVID-19 days. And I think it's important to recognize that we ultimately, as individuals, are responsible for the future. And by that, I mean that the fundamental question each citizen ought to be asking is the action I'm about to take, is it an action that is responsible given the COVID-19 challenge that we face? Very simple question, but a question that every single individual ought to be asked. Now, I must say that I'm very proud of the citizens of Vaughan. They're stellar in their performance and their commitment to defeating COVID-19. And I'm very confident that as businesses open up, all the protocols will be in place to make sure that we can progress. Now, Jamie, there is the world of pre-COVID-19 and also the world of pre-vaccine. We don't have a vaccine yet. So this is as I often say, the marathon is still on. And once we live in a post-vaccine era, then truly we can get back to normal.
I know that a lot of kids are going to be excited to go to some of the city's playgrounds. And I'm just curious, I'm sure a lot of parents are curious as well. What is going to be done to try and keep the playground safe and sanitized?
Well, we have to be very, very careful. But this is also part and parcel of individual responsibility. Try to stay away if you can. Obviously, for me as mayor, it's important that we reduce the spread, as minimal in some cases it may be. I tend to always err on the side of caution, and although I'm very, very open, very happy, I should say, that we're opening up the parks. One of the most moving moments I had during this COVID-19 was when I received a video from a little girl by the name of Sophia, who said, "Mr. Mayor, when will you open my park again? I want to go and play in the park." And these are the human stories that have been created during COVID-19. And I'm happy that today I can actually call her and tell her that the parks are open again.
For many businesses, unfortunately, they've either had to shut down. Many of them aren't ready to reopen, and a lot of them, quite frankly, couldn't afford to, especially with some of the expenses that are associated with having to kind of pivot throughout this pandemic. What are you hearing from some, I guess, local business owners about some of the struggles that they're having when it comes to trying to adjust to moving into stage 3?
There is no question about the fact that many have been negatively impacted by COVID-19. As a city, 1,000 businesses have come to the city for help, and that we've been able to help them navigate through the various programs that we've had. We have a Shop Vaughan Local, which we launched many, many months ago to help them as well. What I found is that there are different ways that businesses have responded. Some have pivoted and changed their entire operation to deal with COVID-19. We've helped through the Vaughan Business Action Plan, as well as some tax relief measures that we implemented early on. But there is no question, and I think that as we move forward, governments ought to be more aware, and I'm talking about the senior levels of government, of the challenges that the businesses have had. In fairness to some levels of government, there's been a wage subsidy, there's been some rental relief programs that have been put in place. But one thing I will tell you about the 19,000 businesses that create over 235,000 jobs here in the city of Vaughan, there's a sense of resiliency. The entrepreneurial spirit, by its very nature, as resiliency and indomitable spirit as part and parcel of their DNA. And I'm very confident that they will come back. They will come back. I know, Jamie, it's really interesting when you look at building permits in our city and you compare them to the 3 previous years. In the first quarter of 2020, our building permits issuance has gone up 70%. Pre-COVID, we were growing at an employment rate of 5.6%. And behind these numbers, of course, are real human lives who are finding work, who are doing their very best to bring about positive change to their lives. So as I say this all the time, as COVID-19 persists, city building continues. We continue to build a $1.8 billion first smart technology hospital in the entire country. And you probably can tell I'm very proud of my community. I'm very proud of the small business community that is really the engine of the Canadian economy.
Well, we wish you guys all the best up there. Vaughan Mayor Maurizio Bevilacqua, always great to chat. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie, and be safe.
Have a good day. Well, meanwhile, a bar on King Street West is responsible